It would help if I had my microphone on this morning. Good morning and welcome, everyone. We are going to begin with singing as we so often do. We're going to sing number 347, Gather the Spirit. Please rise in body and spirit wherever you are and join us in singing. Santa Barbara. Welcome into this beloved community across many spaces, here in this physical sanctuary, joining us in our online sanctuary, gathered together in one community on this one earth that we share. Gathered as a community of loving seekers where we strive to live with integrity, nurture wonder, and inspire the actions that transform us and transform the world. I'm the Reverend Julia Hamilton. My pronouns are she, her, and I am delighted to be here with you all this morning with a wonderful group of worship associates and speakers and musicians. Our community choir is leading us in song this morning. It is good to be together in this beautiful and heartbreaking world that is so challenging day to day. To gather each week in community is a source of hope and strength that is desperately needed here and for the world we share. So thank you for making time to gather your spirit here with us this morning. If you are new, we would love to get to know you better, introduce you to the Unitarian Society, answer any questions you might have. You can stop by our welcome table in the garden, or there's a visitor link if you're joining us online, so that we can stay connected with you and invite you to participate in the life of this vibrant congregation. Beyond Sunday morning, there is a lot going on here at the Unitarian Society. In fact, there's a lot going on here this morning because right now, down on the lower campus, it is the final hours of our Fashion Fling. How many of you have found treasures this year at Fashion Fling? You still have time until 1 o'clock today to refresh your wardrobe with beautiful clothing donated by the congregation. It raises money for the congregation and frankly makes you all look very stylish. So visit the Fashion Fling after the service today. Today, we are also moving into a celebration of Transgender Day of Visibility. And once again, we are hosting the Santa Barbara Transgender Advocacy Network on Saturday evening for the celebration. And once again, we are putting together what we call the Love Squad, a group of volunteers who stay out front, make sure that everyone feels welcome and safe. And we need a few more people to help round out our team. So if you'd like to participate, please contact Charlotte Brigante. You can see her after the service to sign up for a shift in this meaningful and wonderful way to celebrate Transgender Day of Visibility together. Of course, that's not the only thing that's happening on Saturday, right? A lot of folks will be coming from the No Kings rally that is happening right around the corner in Alameda Park. If somebody would be, or a few somebodies would be willing to carry our banner, you can talk to Kira at the welcome table afterwards to help us become a visible and joyful presence at that gathering in defense of our democracy. We have, yeah. We can clap for defending democracy anytime we want. Speaking of the way we create the kind of world we want to live in, one of the commitments of this congregation is standing up for immigrant justice. And right now there is a critical issue regarding housing for mixed status families. That is, families that have both documented and undocumented folks sharing housing. The funding for that housing is being threatened, and now is the time to make our voice heard. Our Justice and Equity team is mobilizing. They've created a very handy how to help handout. I can see Joni waving one out there. You can pick these, there's lots of them are there. So you can pick these up at the Adult Religious Exploration table. Again, Charla will be there with these. Keep an eye out, and it will tell you how you can be heard. And finally, it's not just activism that motivates us. Sometimes it is gathering together over a shared meal. And in this season of holidays, we are once again going to be hosting our community Seder. The Jewish members of our congregation are gathering to invite us to celebrate Passover with them on Saturday the 4th, but we need you to sign up. So the link is in your email. You can sign up to bring a dish, participate in this joyful annual celebration together, a celebration of remembrance and hope. Nancy Beiser is the person you can talk to if you would like information, as is Chuck Flax right over there, who can help out with more information about our Seder. Whew, yeah. There's a lot of ways that we engage the world here and outside of these walls. But right now, I invite you to take a breath, to gather yourself again here in this space, amongst all those who gather in community and solidarity and love, as we ring our bell and let the sound connect us.
The chalice is lit, and in the flames of the memory of our trans and non-binary ancestors, do a dance of freedom and liberation, reminding us that we are all loved beyond all measure. We light this chalice, cherishing our differences and holding each other in sacredness. Jamie and Cindy, thank you.
Good morning. Amidst the ongoing challenges and discomforts in our everyday lives, it's important to focus and recognize the truly good things happening around us, such as the recent Santa Barbara City College Science Discovery Day, a fantastic event that invited families with young elementary and middle school students to explore the diverse science fields represented right here at our City College. Our CS Club was proud to contribute by hosting a 5-activity scavenger hunt, offering a prize for those who successfully completed all 5 challenges. The kids had a blast, to say the least. while they watch circuit boards light up, zip, zap, and watch robots skid across the ground and do little circles to try and avoid obstacles. Today was a powerful day that displayed kinship within our community and reaffirmed our values that complement each other's strengths rather than antagonize our weaknesses. Bringing together the City College students running the activities, parents and children from a rainbow of backgrounds to enjoy each other's presences and engage with the wonders of modern science and the future of expanding possibilities. Thank you, and that's my good thing.
I am so delighted to have Blaze and Will join us on the chancel this morning. Normally they're up in the balcony helping the service run smoothly, and I am so glad they are participating here with me this morning. And now I'd like to invite Gwendolyn and our community choir to lead us in song.
Hear me? Good morning. Is it on now?
Yes,
Yeah.
there you
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Gwendolyn, pronouns she, her, and I run the community choir here at Unitarian Society, some of whom are here before you. I wanted to make a quick announcement before we teach you all a song this morning. So, song has often been used in protests and marches for many decades now, and there is a new iteration of that movement called Singing Resistance, which started in Minneapolis and this winter. And we have a chapter of Singing Resistance Santa Barbara. So I just wanted you all to be aware that this Wednesday evening at 6:30 here in Parish Hall, there's going to be an opportunity to learn some of the songs that are being sung at local protests, including this coming Saturday, March 28th, as Julia already mentioned, the No Kings protest. So if you want to learn more, there is in the pink inset of your thing, there's more information, order of service, thank you. And there's also out on the table a flyer like this that has more information. So would love to see you there. Okay, and now we're going to learn a song. So the lyrics will appear up on the screen in just a moment, and the way we do this, if you haven't done it with me before, is it's just call and response. I will sing a line, and then you will sing it back to me, okay? So here we go. In this house, we lead with love. In this house, we lead with love. In this house, we lift each other up. In this house, we lift each other up. Let's put those two lines together from the top. In this house. In this house, we lead with love. In this house, we lift each other up. Great, next part goes like this. Excuse me. In this house, we learn to fly with the dove. Try that. In this house, we learn to fly with the dove. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming of. And you sing that part twice, so sing it twice through with me. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming. From the top, here we go. In this house, we lead with love. In this house, we lift each other up. In this house, we learn to fly with the dove. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming of. I really hope you all come on Wednesday, because you learn so fast and sound so good. Okay, so the next part is call and response. So that's easy. I'm going to sing it, and you're going to sing it back to me. And then there's a part where we all come in unison, and then we sing the refrain twice through one more time. Okay? So it's going to go like this. Come on over. Come on over. Welcome in. Welcome in. Come on over. Come on over. Let's be friends. Let's be friends. Come on over. Come on over. Okay, and then this is where we all sing together. And you hold the note. Listen. There is enough. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Okay, so we're going to do the call and response one more time. Come on over. Come on over. Welcome in. Welcome in. Come on over. Come on over. Let's be friends. Let's be friends. Come on over. Come on over. There is enough. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming of. You've got it. I'm going to invite you to stand in body or spirit. We're going to sing this all the way through a couple times together. Here we go. You all ready? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, in this house. Here we go. In this house, we lead with love. In this house, we lift each other up. In this house, we learn to fly with the dove. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Okay, here's the call and response. Come on over. Come on over. Welcome in. Welcome in. Come on over. Come on over. Let's be friends. Let's be friends. Come on over. There is enough. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming of. In this house, we lead with love. In this house, we lift each other up. In this house, we learn to fly with the dove. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Come on over. Welcome in. Come on over. Let's be friends. Come on over. There is enough. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Whoa, just repeat that. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Last time. Whoa, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Yay, thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, I'm on here. I'm live. Good morning, everyone. I am Charla Bergante. I'm the Director of Religious Exploration around here. My pronouns are she, her, and it is that time in the morning where we have a story. Are there any kids out there this morning? I see some. And kids, you might want to sit right over here. I think I'm going to stand up here, but you're going to want to see the screen. So wherever you can best see the screen is great. And whenever we're ready, I'm ready. Is it showing? The story we're going to be reading is called Neither by Arlie Anderson. Here we go. There we go. And they're going to mute it. Neither. The Land of This and That. Neither, by Arlie Anderson. Once upon a time, there were two kinds, this and that. These and those. One or the other, until... Honk! What are you? I'm both. You can't be both. You must be neither. I'm neither? Neither tried to play a this game. You can't play with us. You're not rabbity enough. Neither tried to play a that game. You can't play with us. You're not birdie enough. Why don't you find somewhere else? You're not one of us. You're neither. 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 Where did you come from? Honk. I'm from the land of this and that, but I'm neither, so I'm looking for somewhere else to fit in. This isn't somewhere else, but you'll fit in here. Where is here? So many different kinds. The land of all. Come play with us. But I'm different from everyone here. I'm neither red, nor orange, nor yellow, nor blue. Exactly. Excuse us, we're from the land of this and that, but we don't fit in at home. We're looking for somewhere else. But you said I was neither. You said I should go somewhere else. Well, this isn't somewhere else. This is the land of all, and everyone fits in here. Once upon a time, there were many kinds, this and that, somewhat and whatnot, either and very, sort of, just, rather, a little, neither and both, and all were welcome. And that's our time for all ages.
Let us sing our children out.
Good morning. Each butterfly on this branch represents someone who was abducted from our community by ICE this past year. This week, we add 5 monarch butterflies to remember the people abducted from Santa Barbara County last week. We are one human family, and we commit to bearing witness until this violence against our neighbors ends.
Thank you, Whitney. I invite us now into a time of meditation and reflection and prayer, a time to settle yourself in your body, in this community of bodies together, a time to reacquaint yourself with your breath, with the beating of your heart, with the ground upon which we rest. Friends, my heart broke open this week, and I know I was not alone when the news of Cesar Chavez broke open and the abuse he inflicted upon girls and women in the farm workers movement. This impact is felt keenly here on the Central Coast, in communities where so much of the organizing work took place. And yet my heart is also strengthened by the courage of women like Dolores Huerta, who broke the silence after so many decades, so that we can be honest with the work that is still to be done and renew our commitment to dismantle patriarchal violence whenever and wherever we encounter it, even within the movements for justice that we hold as sacred work. Traumatic moments like the ones we are living through call for care and the recognition that our bodies and our spirits are not separate things, but that we are embodied lives of thought and feeling, and we hold within us the stories from our past as well as the hopes we cultivate for our future. And I'm aware that in any gathered community there are painful histories that are brought to the surface when the news shares stories of trauma over and over again. And so in this time of meditation and prayer and reflection this morning, I invite tenderness into the room with us, into this sanctuary that is not just created by the walls upholding this roof, but the way we as a congregation hold tender spaces of prayer and goodwill for one another. Without necessarily even knowing each other's names or even being in the same room, we hold each other in care, that we may find healing individually and collectively from the violences of the world, that we may find comfort and safety when and where we need it, that we may put faith in joy and trust that laughter is as welcome as tears, that we may experience moments of peace even when war rages without and within, that peace may grow, recognizing that everyone everywhere longs to live a life with respect and dignity and safety, that we may learn and grow and make mistakes and still be loved through it all. That each and every one of us knows that we are loved just as we are. And that together we can embody the spirit of that love in the world, find strength in that purpose, and know that we are stronger together. Let us enter into a moment of quiet.
Good morning. For those that you don't know me, my name is Whitney Rubison, and this is my first time participating as a worship arts team member, and so I'm really glad to be here with you all. Thank you all for being so supportive. My reflection for today. From this moment forward, the moon is trans. You don't get to write about the moon anymore unless you respect that. An excerpt from a work by Joshua Jennifer Espinoza. The moon has been claimed, defined, gendered, mythologized by every culture that looks up into the sky. Entire poems written about her silvery light, her phases, her mystery. The moon never got a vote. The moon was never consulted. Trans people know what this is like. To have others write your story, to have others define your body, name your experience, and decide what's possible for you. To be mythologized, categorized, reduced to someone else's idea of what you are. But here's what I offer this morning from my own spiritual tradition. Reality itself transcends binary categories. In Kashmir Shaivism, there's a teaching called Spanda, the doctrine of vibration. It says that all of existence is divine consciousness, pulsating, vibrating, dancing. And at the heart of this teaching is the understanding that the divine includes and transcends what we think of as masculine and feminine, male and female. Shiva and Shakti are not a binary. They are a recognition of that the reality is far more complex, more fluid, more alive than our rigid categories can capture. The binaries we're so attracted to, male, female, citizen, immigrant, deserving, undeserving. These are human constructs. They're not cosmic truth. They're not divine law. They're frameworks we created to organize our perception. And like all human frameworks, they're limited. They cut off possibility, creativity. They force infinite reality into tiny little boxes. And here's the thing about little boxes. They're not just limiting, they're violent. Right now, as we gather this morning, trans people, particularly youth, Black and brown trans people, are facing an onslaught of laws designed to erase them, to make their existence illegal, to deny them health care, education, safety, the right to use a bathroom, the right to participate in sports, the right to exist in a public space. This is not about bathrooms, and it's not about sports. This is about elimination. These laws are designed to make trans people disappear. And if you think this does not affect you because you're not trans, look around. They already have taken many women's abortion rights. They're already banning books in libraries across this country. They're coming for the voting rights with the SAVE Act. They're coming for marriage equality. The same rigid thinking that demands everyone fit into male or female is the same thinking that divides us into citizens or immigrants, deserving or undeserving, us or them. Rigid binaries don't just harm trans people, they harm all of us. When we allow anyone's bodily autonomy to be stripped away, we're all less free. Everyone deserves safety, dignity, and bodily autonomy. Not just the people who look like us, think like us, love like us, or express gender the way that we do. Everyone. That's not charity, that's tolerance. And that's recognizing the web of relationships that connects us all, that when any of us is targeted, all of us are less safe. We have a responsibility to each other, not because we understand everything about each other's experience, not because we have all done the reading or understand all the terminology, but because we recognize that we are all bound together. What happens to trans people matters to all of us. Their liberation is tied to each of us. So here's what I'm holding this morning. The divine vibrates beyond our categories. Reality is wider than our binaries can contain, and our responsibility to each other is not conditional on understanding. It's grounded in the simple truth that everyone deserves to be safe in their own body, to be called by their true name, and to exist without fear. From this moment forward, the moon is trans, the divine is non-binary, and reality transcends our boxes. And we, all of us, are called to defend each other's sacred right to exist. Thank you.
Now I invite our song leaders to come forward and for you to stay right where you are as we sing Building Bridges, number 1023. It's a simple, reflective song that I think you'll pick up quickly.
This is a round. We will sing it through one time all together, and then we will split. This side here on my right, your left, will begin first, and the choir will help you come in. And then the other side will join about halfway through, and the choir will help you come in, and we will sing it as a round 2 times.
It is my great delight to welcome a friend to join us this morning to offer her words of wisdom to this shared moment. Lisa Gillinger, please come up and join me up here. Lisa is a longtime friend, a lawyer here in the Santa Barbara community, an amazing sailor, and a voice that has been a part of my life since I started showing up here in Santa Barbara 15 years ago, and so grateful to call you a friend, a neighbor, and a part of our community.
Yes, thank you. That was an introduction. Hope I can live up to that. Yeah. No, I've known Julia for a while. She's always been an inspiration to me, and I've always just found her to be out, not in the mold of what I imagine clerics to be like. Her sense of social justice and so forth is, I just love. All I want to do is say, just like what Whitney said. I'll just say what Whitney said. You want to give me that paper? That was perfect, really. But what I wanted to touch on, a couple things, because we talk about a number of terms that are in the world of trans experience. And one is biological sex, which is like, what the hell is that? And people would point to the fact of what your genitalia would say. And if we want to stay with that, I say, okay, fine, hold on to that, or maybe the ability to reproduce. You know, if you want to point to that as biological sex, yes, that could be, but it's not gender. It's not what you experience as yourself or the role that you want to present that is most comfortable for you as a person. The thing that you see when you look in the mirror, that's not related to that idea. So some people would say, well, your chromosomes. Chromosomes come in all kinds of different combinations, right? It's not just XX and XY. There's XXXY, there's XXX, and a number of other variations that will determine what you come out to be and how you might experience yourself. And it's not as clear as people who are pointing to it. As an example, our dear president. Yeah. His first day in office, he said there's only two, male, female. That's it. You got something in the middle? It's not part of our country. No, he's not recognizing that. And he's formed his government around that whole idea. That's a religious political stance that has nothing related to science that determines whether somebody's gender is one thing or another, or that there's only two. I mean, it stuns me to think of that. But then it comes down to children. So I just want to say I was once a child. I had a mother, I had a father. I was born in 1950, middle of the last century, and it was a very different world then. There was no access to lots of information. Cut to the story quick, my mom had a part-time job in the township that we lived in, and when I was out of school, like when I was 8, 9, she would park me in the library. The librarians and the people in the library, small town, knew me well, they knew my mom. So I would go in there and I'd read for hours voraciously while my mom did her work. And then I would take breaks and go into the card catalog. Do you remember a card catalog? Yeah? We know what card catalogs are, huh? Yeah, see. So I would pour through that card catalog trying to find out about boys, girls, girls that are boys, boys that are girls, guys that dressed in women's clothes and these things, and it was just a dearth of information. There was not a lot of research done in that time, and what was done was not available in most public libraries. And what was done then had a heavy bias towards cisgender experience, not trans experience. That bias still rings very true today. It kind of drives a lot of research and such, and a lot of what's been said is driven from the cisgendered side and not so much from the transgender side. Those are two very different experiences. I'm just going to tell you. I have no idea what it's like to be cisgendered. There's no way I can reach that or touch that. And you're probably not able to really know what trans is like. Good for you. Though I'm awful proud to be who I am. You know, my experience is not the kind of thing where I'd say, oh, it's terrible. No, I'm standing here, okay. So I had very little experience of what this would be, or very little education or understanding of what this was like. I had one thing that I was allowed to do, and that is you've got to be a boy. You don't get to, I was a little girl. I was not allowed to be a little girl ever. Flash forward to today. Kids today are smart. They're educated. They're not going into card catalogs. You know what this is? This is the key to all information of humankind right here. If you want to know something about trans experience, you can find it on this little tool right here. You're also going to find a lot of misinformation. But kids are smart. And they sort through a lot of that stuff, and they know what they might need to be okay in their place, in their own bodies. And they oftentimes come forward when they're able to, when they know there's an access point, that their parents are willing to allow them to be who they are. They'll come forward and they'll be very clear about who and what they are. How do I know this? I was the vice president of an organization called Trans Youth Family Allies. It was once called Trans Youth Family Advocates. We had to change that name because people were saying, you're grooming kids by advocating for them. So we switched to Allies. Small move, but it saved us a lot of trouble. But I had contact with a lot of families with a lot of young kids. And I could see how well they did when they were given the space to be who they were. and giving at least even minimal access to what's called gender-affirming care. Has anybody heard that before? Gender-affirming care. It's a big political football today. And it actually has nothing to do with anything because the care is not, yes, it affirms their gender in ways, but it's the same care that's available to anybody. Like if you just look at, okay, so gender-affirming care covers a lot of ground. Changes in your names, perhaps, your identity documents and such, allow you to socially transition if that's something that you would need to do. So you could dress in the gender that you feel most comfortable with. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to change your mind. Puberty blockers get a lot of play where people are saying, well, these are permanent changes, and these kids are going to be mutilated. They're going to be terribly handled. They're not going to be able to grow up, and their bodies are not going to form the proper way. So there's two problems with that. One, puberty blockers create a space for kids to get to grips with this problem so that puberty doesn't do weird things to them. When I was a little girl, I could stand up on my mom's toilet so I could look in this mirror, and I'd see this little girl that I was. But then, I was in my teens, and puberty kicked in, and the little girl went away. Was replaced by a guy in my face, in my body, everything. It would take me a lot of time and a fortune to carve that out of this body and get it to conform to what I really believed was true. I don't want to put that on kids at all. They may not ever get the resources that I had. They may not ever have access to the things that made it okay for me. And if you don't have puberty doing that to you, you don't have to worry about it. You can actually come up and be in a proper gender that you feel most comfortable in. You can go from puberty blockers if that's working and it feels good and your parents are okay with it, because most doctors tell me puberty blockers are mostly giving the parents time to come to grips with what their child is experiencing. And at some point, they can introduce hormones. And that can take them into a place where they have the proper puberty appropriate to their gender. But if they don't, if they stop puberty blockers, it all goes back as it was. It's not irreversible. It's not permanent. Puberty blockers do not create that. Robert Kennedy Jr. just very shortly said, that's not allowed. I actually have his words here. I'll just read them to you, because I know you guys love to hear from him. He says, our government should not support financial support for any caregivers or trans care of children, hospitals, clinics, and more. The whole panoply of care he described as so-called gender-affirming care has inflicted lasting physical and psychological damage on vulnerable young people, Kennedy said. This is not medicine, it's malpractice. The American Academy of Pediatrics pushed back strongly against his, and they said these policies and proposals misconstrue the current medical consensus and fail to reflect the realities of pediatric care and the needs of children and their families. In other words, it keeps them from taking their lives. I don't like to point to suicide too much, because then people say, oh, well, that's the pathology associated with this. No, that's the pathology associated with people saying you can't be who you are and oppressing them and harassing them for the experience they're having. See the difference in that? How do we know all this? A lot of this is my life. I'm trans. Yeah, it's a fact. And I was not allowed to talk about it for many, many years until finally I said no. My throat, my voice, my tongue cannot be suppressed in that manner. I have to say who I am and be who I am. Many, many, many years after all this experience. These kids are smart. They oftentimes will be persistent and insistent and show the way for their parents to follow. We just need to know we can follow them and let them lead. The Save America Election Act was mentioned, and that's an oppressive voter suppression act, of course. Just yesterday, I believe, I saw that Donald Trump stepped in and said he would like to have a ban on transgender women included in that act. He would also like to see a ban on gender-affirming care included in that act. This is the Save America Election Act? it seems a little weird. Why is it that, so first of all, trans people, I mean, they must be causing a lot of problems. That's why our economy's in the tank. There are so many things you can point to the pernicious acts of trans people causing problems in government and in all your lives. How many people know a trans person? Oh, this is the wrong place to ask that. This is a loaded dice here. Most places when I ask that, those hands do not come up. Not very often. And I will tell you, if you went back 20 years, fewer and fewer and fewer hands would go up. Most times you'll find that trans people are lawful and are productive. They're contributing. And really what they're looking for is to not be messed with. Just let us be and live our lives, just like anyone else might be able to. And the fact that we have a different gender experience than was expected or demanded by society is not reason enough to harass us, to drive us into the dark closets we've lived in forever. Now, I have to tell you one more thing I want to touch on before I give this roster up. I was going to tell Julia that she was saying how much time I had. I was going to say, you know, what you really need to do is lock the doors and just let me run. I got a lot to talk about. But I want to contrast one thing, and that is Germany. From 1800 to 1899 to 1933, trans people had an evolution there where they found some ability to live their lives in some parts of Germany, Berlin especially. They actually developed a card for people that would say, if the police harassed you, you could show them this card and it would act as a pass. So you could go on, they wouldn't arrest you. 1933, something happened in Germany. A different administration rose to power. And one of the first things they were doing was dehumanizing LGBT people, creating a point that said, these people are not acceptable in our societies. They also included Jewish people, and they started rounding all the people up. But first, they had to take away their identities, take away those passes, take away the things that said they would be safe if somebody questioned them about what their identity was. Take all that away. And then identify them, and then collect them, criminalize them, collect them, and put them in detention camps like Alligator Out. No, that's a different one. No, that's in Florida. But right now, I want you to know, if you've watched TV, remember TV? They said they're trying to build detention camps across this country so they can put all the murderers and the rapists and the gangsters that have come into this country that they've rounded up or haven't shot yet. So they have detention camps. Germany had camps similar, where they put people that they didn't like in those camps, call them concentration camps. These are called detention camps. I will tell you, we're not very far off. I am a person who feels like there's a target on my back all the time. Knowing that we are moving in this direction very strongly, where we're going to get to the point where, I don't know. When I think about where it can go, strip me of my identities, my identification papers, my licenses, and so forth, and then at some point ask me to move out to some detention center to keep me out of the normal modes of society. I don't like to be hyperbolic, and I don't like to be paranoid. Paranoia is, if it's not true, it could be paranoia. But honey, it's true. This is what's going on. This is the direction it's going. And I actually don't like to be too terribly political. It's pretty hard not to be. But there is a midterm coming up, and if we're not going to get a hold of this government when this midterm comes up, we get what we deserve. Yeah. The way it's going now, we do not deserve this. None of us do. And as it was alluded to, it's not just trans people. They're easy to pick on. Do you know trans people account to less than 1% of this population? There's 330 some odd million people in this country. There's 2.589 million trans people. That's a pretty small number for so much legislation. 740 legislative acts have come forward just since the beginning of this year, 2026. Over 1,000 from last year. And it's related to just trans people. 27 states have eliminated trans care for youth. Now, that's 25 of them, I believe 2 of them are enjoined, stopped from banning health care for kids. The other ones, it's getting a little tricky and sketchy in there. Some of them have been withheld. In fact, the Fourth Circuit said in their Court of Appeals, I'm going to a big legal thing, they said, the government can have you appreciate your sex. The government can demand that you appreciate your sex. And my first thought was, what the hell does that mean? You know, where's that going to go? Are you not appreciating your sex? You know, what happens if you don't? I mean, but you aren't going to get care. And, you know, I would love to have had gender care when I was a kid. I have an incredible mom, and she saved me in a lot of ways, but she didn't have any of the information that the kids and the families have today. We have to watch over our shoulders because it's not just, as I said, it's not just the government coming down for trans people. We're all subject to it, and we have to be careful not to let the insanity. Okay, so I wanted to tell you one more thing. They banned all identity in Germany. They banned all identity. I'm getting there. They banned all traffic and things, and then they started a war. Hitler started a war to consolidate his power and his, yeah, you see how that's gone? Not that that ever happened here.
Thank you so very much for being part of our community and for being with me this morning, Lisa. I'm going to invite Whitney to come forward to lead us in our affirmation of gratitude and giving.
Do I start with the offertory or the affirmation? Okay. Oh, all right. Egg Hunt for Justice. Our outreach offering for March supports the Hunt for Justice, our annual Easter egg hunt that puts faith into action. In early April, children will vote for their favorite causes, and the Children's Religious Exploration staff will match the top 3 local partner organizations. On Easter Sunday, April 5th, very soon, children will hunt for the eggs representing dollar amounts and distribute them among the baskets to determine how funds are shared. Parents, we invite you to talk with your children about generosity and the causes that matter to them. To donate, make your check payable to USSB with Hunt for Justice in the memo. Give online at ussb.org/give or scan the QR code. Please give generously and as you are able. And we'll say our gratitude affirmation. Let's be grateful for when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others.
Some conversations require breath and space and a little extra time, friends. So way back when I was in my early 20s, a friend and I were out one night and started speculating about if and when we ever had a baby, would we tell people in advance the gender of the child? Would we even want to know ourselves? I said I think I would want it to be a surprise. And my friend replied, "Oh no, I have to tell people because I hate the color yellow. I don't want a yellow baby." You see, way back then when Amazon only sold books, and if you wanted something for someone's baby shower, you had to go to an actual store. And in that store, you'd walk in, and the shelves would be filled with everything you could want for a newborn in one of three colors: pink, blue for boys and girls, and yellow if you didn't know whether to get pink or blue because the parents were radical gender nonconformists who refused to do the decent thing and let people know beforehand whether they should buy the tiny onesies with the little blue dogs or the pink horses, and so your baby would get the yellow ducks. Which is funny because babies can't even begin to see in color until several months after they are born, so they don't really care at all. My friend didn't like the color yellow, so a gender reveal it would be. Thankfully, by the time either of us had a child, society and the internet had changed, and you could find a much wider variety of baby items in a whole spectrum of colors that babies don't care about. So our children were not stuck in a monochromatic gender identity bubble. Judith Butler was right. Navigating gender is a lot of trouble. Gender Trouble is the name of a book written in 1990 by Judith Butler, a philosopher and gender studies scholar whose work radically shifted the way we talk about gender and identity. Despite the fact that the book is written in some of the densest academic language I have ever had the privilege and challenge of trying to understand, Butler actually won an award for having the most tortured sentences in academic writing one year. Despite the challenge of reading this work, the book has filtered out into the conversation in ways that Butler himself could never have predicted. Butler now uses they/them pronouns. When they wrote Gender Trouble, describing oneself as non-binary was not really something we had commonly accepted language for. But in 2020, things had changed, and just like we'd moved beyond that limited pink, blue, yellow color palette, we'd also moved beyond the limited him, her pronoun choice. And Butler shared that they had never felt fully at home in the female gender assigned them at birth and embraced the ability to name more accurately the way they move through the world. But have we really moved into a new era of embracing a more expansive understanding of gender identity? Despite our relatively progressive stance here in California, the backlash we are seeing around the nation that we have talked about this morning has asked me, how do we hold on to the progress we have made, as well as defend the rights of our siblings in other parts of the country? Because I'll tell you right now, friends, and I think I am not alone, I am not going back to that two-box, monochromatic world. I am not, and none of us are. You can pry my pronouns and those of my friends from my cold hands. I will affirm the humanity of all of us and the wide spectrum of gender diversity we have represented right here in this room and beyond. We will defend that with our very breath. Because that's what this gender panic is all about. We are in a fight for who gets the power to define who is fully human. And we refuse to let this regime dehumanize anyone just because they do not conform to a traditional binary gender identity. We refuse. In Gender Trouble, Butler brings us to that moment I call the baby shower moment, when you walk up to the clerk and say that you need to find a gift for a newborn, and what is the first thing the clerk asks? is it a boy or a girl? Butler asks us to really think about the very few words in that simple statement, that question that nearly everyone asks when a birth is announced, because it illustrates so clearly what they're trying to say, that the very first way we acknowledge the humanity of a new baby is by assigning them a gender role. Is it a boy or a girl? The shift happens in those words. Without a gender, the baby is an it, a non-human object. The baby only moves from it to a person once the gender is identified. Now that we have ultrasound that lets us peek inside the womb of the gestating genitalia, so gender can be imagined earlier than ever before. But in the pre-ultrasound era, you remember those cinematic moments when the doctor would give birth, and what would be the thing the doctor would say, holding up this newborn to the parents? Congratulations, it's a boy, or it's a girl. The very first words that a child would hear would be an assignment, a task, a condition. You are a boy or a girl, so live accordingly. The baby only then occupies our imagination as a real human being once we can imagine a gendered body, Butler says. Without that anchor, our mind kind of slips and slides. What exactly is the mother holding in that blanket? Given such a way of welcoming babies into the world, Butler says, the mark of gender appears to qualify bodies as human bodies. The moment in which an infant becomes humanized is when the question, is it a boy or a girl, is answered. Which raises the question, what about bodies that don't fit so neatly into that humanization? They become easy to reduce as less than, easy to dismiss as illegitimate expressions of humanity. And as this thinking goes, if you continue to follow this train of thought, if someone is given a gendered label at birth and then rejects that label later in life, are they not rejecting their own humanity? The authoritarian government is asking us. If we follow that logic that says gender identity is fixed from birth into one of two immutable, irreversible categories, the claim then becomes that people who are transgender are choosing their own self-exile from the human family, and therefore the state has no obligation to respect their rights. It is not us, the authoritarian state says, that is the problem. It is the person who refuses to comply with the very first simple assignment. Be the boy or girl you were instructed to be, or suffer the consequences. You brought it on yourself. Butler calls this the violence of the foreclosed life. The violence of the foreclosed life. This is what we are struggling against. We who believe that life is precious, is sacred, is beautiful in all of its diverse expression, we are struggling against not a person, not even a group of people, but an ideology that tries to do violence upon our lives, that tries to foreclose possibilities even from that moment of first breath. The goal in a totalitarian state is to render certain kinds of life not just unlivable, but even unthinkable, to remove the very words we use to describe it. The violence of a foreclosed life. So what do we do? How do we approach this unwieldy and enormous gender trouble issue that Butler has identified among us? They've been doing a lot of writing and thinking about authoritarian and totalitarian regimes lately. Their latest book I highly commend to you, much more readable. Who's Afraid of Gender is the title. And Butler explores how authoritarian regimes use gender as this wedge to divide us. Use this tiny percentage of the population, magnified and expanded as a way of asserting their authority and control over all of us. So what is the way forward? Solidarity is what Butler says. Butler recognizes without solidarity, the trans community cannot survive in an authoritarian state. Without solidarity, Butler, even with their relative privilege as a white professor at Berkeley, Butler's life in this world, in this moment, is at risk. Butler is asking if we have their back. Solidarity is not just a strategy for winning, it is necessary for surviving. So let us cultivate that here, my friends. Let us cultivate that compassionate solidarity, grounded in love, grounded in our understanding of our interdependence, grounded in the fact that we are all in this together. That is the universalist part of Unitarian Universalism. It's all of us or none of us. So let it be all of us. Let us lean into the simple things like respecting pronouns and practicing using them even if we stumble. There's little stickers you can put on your name tag that you can get at the welcome table. Did you know that? With your pronouns right there on them. We can celebrate Transgender Day of Visibility, recognizing that holidays like that lift up and celebrate the beauty and joy that can be found in a trans identity, not just, as Lisa so eloquently pointed out, the trauma and pathos that is ascribed onto it by the system, which is traumatic, not the people. We can lift up and celebrate those moments together, and we can find spaces and places to work through our own fears, our own histories and inherited stories around gender and gender identity. And cultivating solidarity means taking the time to imagine and dream not just of what we don't want, but of the world that we do want. To keep envisioning that world we want to inhabit. So even if we are sailing in different boats, our eyes are on the same horizon. It means being willing to make good gender trouble together. That is our assignment. Let us do it. Let us rise in body and spirit and song once more. We're going to sing Love Knocks and Waits for Us to Hear. It's 10:29 in the teal hymnal, or the words are on your screen. So stay right where you are, and if you want to put your hand over your heart or hold hands with someone near you, if you have permission to do so, or wherever you are, just hold your hands open. However it is that you get connected in sympathy and solidarity and community to the spirit of love that moves through us and among us and beyond us. And as you go out into this beautiful and heartbreaking world, may the light of love shine upon you, be gracious unto you, and bring you peace. For this is the day we are given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And let us call out a blessing.